Good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you are in the world. This is the Living World of Darkness, Street Magic. Today we find ourselves in the borough of New York, or the city of New York. Currently, we are riding around in the back of an ambulance because we are with everyone's favorite guy, Ken. Ken, the man who can do anything. He's got the world on his shoulders. He is the Hollow King. He is a paramedic. He helps people. He does things for people. And so he's currently on shift, riding from call to call. Ken.
Ken doesn't normally work weekends, but we are operating in the wake of a holiday, and he was called in, as he has been many times before. He's not happy about it, but it's money.
It is. It's time and a half on a holiday weekend, so that's good money.
Yeah.
All right. You're sitting there and you're riding along in the ambulance, and all of a sudden you hear the radio go off, and it comes out a regular odd, or I should say a rather odd code, one that you don't hear very much. It's code 77, which is train wreck, mass casualty. And you hear the gun of the engine and lights turn on. And you hear the driver of the ambulance responding that you are en route.
What time of day is it?
It's about 4 in the afternoon.
Then Ken has decided to internally blame the furries for this.
Okay. Reports are starting to come in through the radio that the first responders on scene are estimating possibly hundreds of casualties. It appears that a train struck a large vehicle in the middle of the road, possibly a tractor trailer, and buckled. It was a passenger train, and it is currently on fire, so you can hear the fire units being dispatched as well. You can hear the police units being dispatched, so this seems to be a fairly major thing.
Ken internally hopes that the furries aren't still actively there, and starts to try to make sure that everything he needs to be responsible for when they get there is ready before they get there, which would be a nice thing to do when you're showing up to an emergency like this.
What kind of things is he doing? Like, what's he getting ready for here?
He's checking equipment. It starts off with the equipment that he knows is going to be strapped to himself. And then once he's sure of that particular inspection, which he's probably done like a dozen times today just to do it, it ranges out to the rest of the inside of the vehicle.
Okay. It takes about 20 minutes to get to the site. I mean, literally, they're calling ambulances from that far away. You roll up, you see a literal wall of blue lights and red lights, people rushing everywhere. It is the normal chaos of a mass casualty situation. Smoke rising from, apparently there was fire. You see firefighters actively fighting fire at one portion of the wreck. This is an overhead view of what you're seeing. There must have been something at least partially explosive in the center of whatever struck, either in the truck or the train itself, because there is a serious crater in the middle of the ground there. And there are bodies literally laying on the ground floor everywhere. Your partner, the driver, just starts cussing in Armenian and literally pulls up, leaves the door open, and starts charging towards people trying to start helping them.
Given that this person is his partner and has probably been known to do this, Ken is not far behind him. He's already kind of estimated in his head that some of this is going to require the two of them to carry somebody.
All right, you go running up. I mean, like I said, there are people everywhere. There's pretty much every type of injury you could imagine. You run up and there's a gentleman laying on the ground. It appears that pretty much both legs appear to be broken. He had to have drugged himself because you could see the blood stream, or the blood stains. You see a couple of ladies sitting beside him. One is holding her head. It's got blood flowing freely from her head. And then you've got another girl sitting beside them who's just holding her chest. It seems like she's having problems breathing. Which one are you going to go to first?
You said the middle one was a head wound, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it look like the type of laceration where this is a head wound, this is bleeding today, but we don't have people's brains all over the place, or like pieces of skull missing?
You'd have to get closer. She is bleeding profusely, and she's holding her hand to her head, so you can't really see. You don't see any brain matter immediately, but you can't really like tell if you'd have to get in there and tell if you peel the skin back to see how bad it is, stuff like that. But it is bleeding profusely.
Which one has my partner gone to?
He is currently talking to the guy on the ground who's yelling about his legs being broken.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to have to prioritize bleeding over breathing in that order just because how the training goes.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
Bleeding's a priority one. I have to check that out before I can check on the respiratory one.
All right, so you head to the girl with the head wound. You could hear your partner basically telling the guy, look, broken. Don't move. You're not going to die. We got people that might. And he literally, you could see him kind of, he doesn't try to move the guy, but he just kind of lays him down, because the guy was kind of raised up. He lays him down. And he says, stay still. My partner will be with you in a minute. And he charges off to a completely different group, leaving you there with these three.
Okay, so first things first, I have to assess this head wound and its severity.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you start looking at it. When you peel the skin back, I mean, she's like starts trying to grab your hand. She's like, ah! She's screaming and stuff, trying to grab your hands. No, don't touch it, don't touch it.
Ma'am, you need to calm down while I treat your wound.
You fucking calm down. I was just in a train wreck. Oh my God. Ah, my head fucking killing me. Help my daughter. Why can't she breathe?
Ken is laser focused at this point, whether this person's screaming or not.
Mm-hmm. Then she is. The girl is not screaming though. She seems to be having problems keeping her breath. You can see her kind of she reaches out and kind of grabs her mom's arm, and her hand turns white. She's grabbing her mom. The guy just kind of says, where did that other guy go? What the fuck? Somebody help me. Holy shit, fuck that bitch. Help me.
At this point, it's still just bleeding like something that bleeds a lot.
Her head, yes.
Yeah.
You're able to kind of move her hands away, and she's still fighting you, but you're finally able to get a look in there, and it looks like it's a fairly clean laceration. It looks like something cut her pretty. I mean, it was whatever it was fucking sharp. But it doesn't look like it broke bone, and it hasn't hit any major arteries, so she's not going to die. She's going to bleed, but she's not going to die.
Okay. What she gets is a clean dressing, and when he applies that, it is the most basic of dressings. This is something where she's going to have to, with his instructions, apply pressure herself.
Okay. As you're sitting there and you're starting to dress her wound, you look over at the daughter.
Yeah.
And you see her turn blue her eyes roll back in her head and she falls over.
Okay. So she's had problems breathing this entire time?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, as I move her hands away, do I see any sort of puncturing chest wound?
When you move her hands away, you don't see anything punctured, but you do see that her rib cage looks like something basically crushed it. She's got a fairly significant, when you were able to cut her shirt away, you can see that something hard hit her hard right in the chest. She's got multiple, you could estimate multiple broken ribs and probably both lungs punctured.
Both lungs punctured.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy, that is not something a chest needle decompression is going to fix.
No.
And
you hear mom is literally clinging to you with half a dressing on her head, going, "Save her! That's my baby!" And the guy's still yelling at you, "God damn it! Fuck those bitches! They're gonna die! I could live! Save me!"
Knowing what Ken knows, is this one of those deals where we've just got a code black oncoming?
You're not sure. I mean, you don't know. I mean, you don't know. You know what you see.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I mean, how does Ken feel about that?
At this point, he's pretty emotionally detached.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's an EMT in crazy anime New York.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So any emotions he might have about it are pretty removed.
Okay. All right. And as you kind of start, you know, that kind of goes through your head. You know, you're like, you know, stay focused, you know, just do your job, you know, that kind of thing. You hear a scream that sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you're working and you look up and you see what looks to be Violet laying on the ground, kind of screaming. And she's got blood coming out of the corner of her mouth. And she's reaching towards you, shouting for help.
Okay. First things first, I have to assess what this person's DOA.
Can't really. She's not dead right now.
No.
You can feel it. You feel a pulse. There is. She is breathing. However, it is the most ragged breathing ever. She's gasping, but she appears to have fought. She appears to have passed out.
Okay. So, to see what I can do about this is because Bob the person doesn't have a whole ton of medical training.
Oh, sure. No, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make a roll, that's fine.
So intelligence medicine, I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Let's see how the dice are to me today. 1 success.
Okay. The girl, if you could get her to a hospital almost immediately, might have a chance. But you don't know, again, because you don't know what's going on inside of her. You don't know what's been crushed in there and what hasn't. But just from the wounds that you can observe, you know that if she were to hit an ambulance and be gone in the next 5 minutes, maybe. And as you're assessing this, you hear Violet screaming, "Ken! Ken! I'm dying, Ken! Here! Ken! Naomi's still in the train! Have you seen her? Ken!"
Is there anyone nearby I can get to carry this girl off?
There's EMTs and stuff all over the place, but most of them have their own patients. I mean, literally, there's hundreds of people here and maybe 15 EMTs at this time. Most of the firefighters are wrapped up fighting the fire. The police are trying to help out, but basically all they could do is carry bodies.
Well, right now, that's what I need is someone who can carry a body to an ambulance.
Yeah. Well, the other part is that they would carry it to the ambulance, but who's going to drive it?
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got him like barely a maybe in front of me, a guy who's definitely not going to die, even though his life pretty much sucks right now.
Right.
And someone else who is also definitely not going to die.
Right. That's bleeding profusely. Yeah, unless she stops putting pressure on her head, which she has done because she's now trying to get to her daughter and has started bleeding profusely again.
Okay. Then the most I can do in this particular scenario is make sure the dressing's secured, because sometimes people just have to be protected from themselves.
Okay. All right.
And with that triage having been done, I have to go over to the next patient.
Okay. Who are you? You going to the girl laying on the ground? Are you going to the guy with the broken legs? Are you moving to a completely different group?
Violet.
Okay. All right. As you turn to start towards Violet, you see the girl on the ground kind of shudder and then go still.
I figured. Okay. So one code black and the other two will probably be all right. And we're heading towards someone else who hasn't been treated, namely Violet.
Right. Towards Violet, and Mom grabs you. Goes to grab you. Oh wow, Mom works out.
Okay.
Okay. Mom grabs you and she's like, "No, you're not leaving. You're not gonna leave her. Where are you going?"
So this would normally be resisted with strength ball, strength martial arts, something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, she's grabbing you, but again, she grabbed you fairly strongly. But you can tell. I mean, she's just grabbing for anything she can. She's not trying to hurt you.
Yeah. This does not strike me as someone who is going to be listening to literally anything I say. So
that's a fair assessment.
So yeah, we're gonna have to resist to go on doing our job here. I have actually dodging this would necessitate a dex type thing, right?
Yeah, we'll go with dex athletics.
Do you mind if I snake step it?
Not at all.
Okay. Okay. And I was given a specialty in snake step because that happened, but it wouldn't matter because I've got 5. Just base.
Yep. Okay. You're able to kind of sidestep, and she goes to try to you feel her coming to grab you. And you sidestep, and she misses. Okay, and she's able to catch herself. She falls on the ground, and she just kind of crumples into a ball and starts crying. Yeah, my daughter, she's gone. She kind of crumples into a ball, and you kind of hear, nobody could save her. Nobody. And with that, you hear Violet, Ken! Shouting.
Okay. Ken is headed over.
Okay. You get to Violet. Violet is missing an arm. And is bleeding profusely from said stump. She reaches up and grabs you by your EMT uniform. And she's like, Ken, Naomi's still inside. Go, don't worry about it. Go. And she's kind of pushing you away. You can tell that she's literally bleeding out of that stump.
Well,
you can see the where she's been thrown, and it kind of splattered from the side of the train. And she's starting, her color has gotten really pale. She's starting to kind of, you don't know if she's hallucinating or what's going on.
Well, I do know part of what's going on. That is an arm that requires a tourniquet. That is what's happening today.
Okay. All right. So you go ahead and make your roll. Let's just do an intelligence medicine.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. It's Oh yeah. You whip out the tourniquet that's in your belt, and you fling it on there. She seems to she calms a little bit, and she's just kind of laying there, just kind of holding her shoulder. The arm is it's just below the shoulder where it's been taken off. In strips of flesh are kind of hanging down. Part of the bone is sticking out. But you're able to tourniquet and slow that blood. But she's just wailing and thrashing, and just the whole time she's kind of holding on to you. She's got a death grip on the front of your shirt as you're trying to work.
Okay. Now that she's tourniqueted, is there anything else going on with her?
She's. I mean, her eyes are wide, but her pupils are extremely dilated. But I mean, she's got multiple bruises and scrapes. It's obvious that she was literally thrown from the train in the explosion. And so she's just kind of splayed. So she's probably going to have some internal shit going on too. But that's not something you can really assess from where you are and what you have.
No, the most I can do at this point would be to get her out of the middle of the wreck and down sitting with the other queues of jacked up people.
Yeah. Okay. Violet's a little girl, so you're able to pick her up easily. The problem, I mean, that you're technically, not supposed to move, but at the same time, this is the middle of an active train wreck.
That could get worse at any time.
Right, it could blow up again. Who knows what's going on? So you're going to get her out of there to the edge, and you lay her down, and she's just like, "Jane, help me! Where? Oh, this side. Oh!" And you see her just kind of her head kind of lolls back.
All right.
And it looks like she could have passed out.
Well, someone whose lungs that, as far as I can see, haven't been popped the fuck open is, because they've passed out, going to get Mr. Nasal Pharyngeal Airway.
Okay.
Standard procedure.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's standard. You get it in there. She tries to fight you a little bit when you first start in there with the one arm, but eventually, because that's not a pleasant experience. And
no.
She was passed out, but it brought her back to not happiness. But she eventually just kind of, after you get it in there, she starts to breathe a little bit better and goes back out again.
Okay, so she's back out. I don't even have to tell her not to pull it out. She's a little too busy having night. So at that point, priority one is to go get in there and look for more survivors.
Okay. All right. You head back towards the train itself, and you look inside, and you can see various people in there. Trying to, because it's on its side. You see people laying down and trying to climb through, and there's different bodies just laying. There's parts of bodies. There's small fires in there. It doesn't look like the fire department's gotten here yet. They're too busy fighting the larger blazes.
Okay.
But it's not. But there's a significant amount of smoke in there. And you look and you see a rather pale arm with some track marks on it that looks a little too familiar. Looking out from behind a set of seats.
All right, so there's an obstruction in my way.
Yes.
I'm going to do what I can to get that obstruction out of the way.
Okay. It's a rather large set of chairs, but you're able to move it. you get up to it and you start to feel like you're starting to move it. You can realize that once you grab onto it, it's something that you could probably leverage and move. And as you start to move it, however, you hear screaming from the other side, from the right-hand side of it, and you look down, and it's actually laying on someone's legs, and you realize that if you were to move it, you're probably going to cut one of this guy's legs off.
Okay. Damn. Can I see much behind what I've moved so far before I realized I was about to shear someone's leg off?
You look a little, you're able to peek your head up through there, and you can see what looks like it's what's left of what was like a table. It was like maybe like a small seating area in the train. You can see you see Jade and Naomi sprawled across chairs. Both of them have multiple wounds. They're both bleeding. Naomi has started to turn a little blue, which could be heroin. It could be anything. Jade is splayed. Her back looks at an awful angle. It looks inhuman. And then you see what looks like you see a shock of blonde hair a little bit further in that looks like it might be Maggie. That maybe she was thrown by something. She looks almost like she was she's smashed, but then you see her head kind of turn to one side, and she kind of sighs.
Okay, so one guy, with how jacked up this guy's leg is, I'm guessing that thing is not going to be his leg much longer after this incident, regardless.
I mean, you can't really see too much. You can tell that it's, you know what I mean? You can tell that it's, if you move this thing, you'd probably shear at least one of his legs off, possibly both.
Okay.
If you don't, then you probably bleed to death because it's going to hit the femoral artery eventually.
Okay.
So, and as you're sitting there and you're looking back and forth and you're making these decisions, you hear from behind you, "You are not born Korean, so eventually you will make me forget this. What do you do now, Superman?"
Ken turns around. Does he recognize this individual?
Ah, you've heard that voice in your head before. He's standing there. He is dressed in traditional Korean dress. He's just got his arms crossed over his chest. Doesn't appear to be worrying about this whole situation whatsoever.
Ken narrows his eyes slightly. He has now begun to suspect that true fuckery is going on.
He looks at you and he's like, "You have many choices to make. Who will you save, Superman?"
Ken looks back. It's a guy who's one way or the other not going to have a good day. There's Maggie. There is someone who is literally already turning blue behind a large obstruction, and someone else who's bleeding. Am I correct in this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The only one that you've seen move, you saw what looks to be Maggie move, and the guy that's laying on the ground screaming.
Okay. Ken knows that artery is going to get cut, and that will be a more instant death than anything that is going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
So he prioritizes. I mean, the Green Gentleman can literally see him disconnect again.
Mm-hmm.
And it is almost mechanical. He's assessed, prioritized. He's moving to the one who's most likely to die right now.
Okay. Car. And at this point, you hear a hissing sound, much like I'm hearing right now. You hear a hissing sound, and then you hear a whoosh, and you see a fireball literally erupt behind you. We'll say 2 feet away from you, engulfing that portion of the cabin in fire. And it seems to be, and it's literally behind this guy, and he's not moving at all.
Sometimes the right thing just ain't the right thing. The fire in and of itself, Ken understands in a reasoning that is a little higher than what he's been doing so far, is a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It has a beginning, a middle, and an end because every fire dies.
Mm-hmm.
He needs it to go back to its beginning where it wasn't a raging fireball.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to attempt to will it so.
Okay.
Let's see here. This is probably vulgar as shit. I am betting at least the guy over there counts as a witness.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I literally have to pull up the magic chart because I don't know everything
No.
by heart.
That's fine. Yep, that's fine.
So just bear with me while I pull this up.
Oh, no, sure. What are you attempting to use?
My newly acquired forces.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
It turned out to be a really good decision today.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you're attempting to fast cast.
Oh yeah, we're like looking at a base difficulty of like 11. Or actually, let's see here. Level 2 plus 5 is 7 plus fat cast is 8. So that being said, I do have Quint in an avatar score.
Mm-hmm.
So in any given turn, I can pump 2 Quint in, so I can knock this down to 6.
Uh-huh.
And I do have my instrument on hand, actually, because I do have the prayer beads.
Uh-huh.
So we are going to see if I can do this.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And I'm going to spend a point of willpower.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see how Dice Stream likes me today. Turns out that for 2 successes, Dice Stream likes me quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So 1 into effect and 1 into duration.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you see the flames die down, and you see the Korean gentleman. A Korean would have done better. You still have people to save, Superman. Your temporary solution is just that. Try again.
As much as Ken hates it when the guy's right, the guy's right. Okay. Easiest person to move in this scenario is Maggie. Unless she also is trapped under stuff.
Well, she's on the other side of the stuff.
She's literally on the other side.
The other 3 are completely cut off from you by this mountain of stuff that you have to move. But if you move it, probably going to kill that dude.
Probably going to kill that dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, because regardless of the tourniquet, he's going to go straight into shock. Is there any way that I can move this off of him in a way where he's not just going to immediately bleed out when I do it. Tourniquet's notwithstanding.
I mean, you can try, but, you know.
Well,
any way you move it, the femoral artery's been hit, and you can tell the only way you're going to be able to move it is to slide it, and that's just going to shear his legs off.
Or he could burn to death. That would suck.
Or he could burn to death. Yeah.
Well, Ken's made these kind of decisions before. He will probably make these kinds of decisions again. He's moving it.
Okay. All right. You're able to, like I said, you're able to, buff up, squat in the curl rack and push this stuff off of him. And you just, you hear the god-awful sound of flesh and then bones breaking, and you just hear him screaming, "What are you doing?" His blood just starts pouring from his mouth, and he just kind of lays back as you are finally able to move it off.
Okay.
And you hear from behind you, "Interesting. Still not Korean."
So Naomi's blue.
Naomi, okay, so yeah, so Naomi is the closest one to you. You get to her, and she has turned blue, kind of an unearthly shade of blue. You can tell her pulse is extremely rapid. She is breathing, however, it's extremely hollow, and you can tell that she has probably been, when this tumbled, she probably was thrown all over the car, that kind of thing. She's got bumps and bruises. One of her arms is at a weird angle. She's not doing good.
Okay. So first things first, have to try and improve breathing.
Okay.
If I can.
Right.
Are we looking at a double punch? Well, we're not looking quite at a double punch lung scenario, I don't think.
She does not have the same, does not have the same wounds that the girl outside had.
Yeah.
But you start checking ribs. All the ribs seem to be in place. There doesn't seem to be anything that has punctured her to cause that. But she does seem to be having some sort of problem breathing, raggedness going on there.
Okay.
That helps no one.
Cyanosis, rapid breathing, and nothing's punctured her. However, in this scenario, a crushing is not unlikely.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can tell that the guy that was standing there has moved up and is standing on the little mountain of debris that you were able to push aside. He's just kind of watching you.
Okay. I do not have life 3.
Give me a perception alertness.
Will do. Nope.
Hissing sound has come back.
Which means that regardless of how I feel about it, people need to move like now or be moved. Because otherwise that fireball is going to murder all of us. In a horrible decision, Ken has to move one person. It is going to be Naomi.
Okay. All right. You reach over and you start to grasp Naomi. You're literally reaching out to pick up her body, and you see just this. There's above her that just a large puncture just kind of goes out of the side of it as it semi-explodes, but not really, and showers her in some type of a acrid liquid that immediately you smell as gasoline. And it starts to fill this portion of the cabin.
So there's gas everywhere.
Yes.
Okay. I know that I do not have the time sphere. That is not a thing I can undo. So that has only rushed things in terms of trying to get people out. Yeah, all that seems to have affected with Ken is that he needs to move faster now.
Okay. All right. You pick up her body. Like I said, she's covered in gasoline, so now you're partially covered in gasoline. You turn, and are you going to try to like run out, make your way out of the train then with her body?
At the very least, away from the fire, there's more than one person that I need to not let get burned.
Okay. All right. So you're not going to take her out of the train. You're just going to move her to another portion of the train inside the cabin.
That is not currently exploding. Yes.
That is not currently exploding. Okay. All right. So you make you're able to kind of move back, still holding her. Her breathing is still kind of ragged. She hasn't really moved though, other than her chest breathing. You raise her eyelids and you look, and her eyes just kind of roll back into her back of her head. You're able to put her down somewhere, and now are you going to go back or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jade's still in there.
All right. Okay. All right. So you put her down, and you go back. Jade is still there. Like I said, one of her back is at an angle that no human should be able to make. She's kind of bent over, literally backwards, like some shit that you would see from a Chinese gymnast. But she is literally folded in half. You can tell that her pelvis is probably broken, which is allowing that to work. And probably partially several portions of her back.
Okay. Is there anything nearby that I can use as an ad hoc spine board?
There's plenty of the metal framework for the chairs, but it's going to take you a few minutes to pull them apart. You know what I mean? Because basically it's one big mangled mess.
Yeah. Whereas, yeah, I move her, and yeah, she's going to get jacked up. But all things are cycles, and all magic can reverse cycles given enough time and work. However, can't bring back the dead. So while this may miss her up in the short term, in the long term, this can be fixed. So we are taking her away against all possible advice that a normal person would ever give. Because the priority is to keep her from dying, because you literally just can't fix dead, even at high sphere levels.
Does Ken have a radio?
He does.
Okay. All right. So obviously, while this is going on, he's hearing, various different reports, and then he hears, "Somebody tell that son of a bitch to stop." Who the fuck? Somebody call. How the fuck did another train get on this track? Somebody tell that son of a bitch to stop. What the fuck is going on?
Okay. Looks like I'm going to have to make choices today. So I've got 2 people. I have strength 3. I'm very much not 100% that I can move 2 people at once. But, oh wait, strength 3, 250 pounds. I probably can.
You could probably just drag them. You're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to carry them what you would term as properly, considering injuries. You could literally drag them as best you could.
Well, sometimes decisions have to be made. These things can be reversed in time. time is not on our side right now. We are dragging.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you climb back over the the mangled mess of metal. You're able to grab those two and you start to drag them out. And you hear the smashing as something has hit the other end of the train. The cabin that you're in has started to move just from the force of whatever is coming. You have the two bodies. You can see as the concussion, the force of this whatever has hit this train is starting to move towards you. You see that the side of the train has split open, and at that second, you've got both bodies in your hands, and you can see that the other parts of the train that are further down the tracks from the direction that this force is coming from are starting to flip up in the air as something is hitting. Something is knocking these over and is plowing towards you. And you see that side of the cabin has breached open, and you see the Korean guy step off of the metal, walks over, and he steps in the hole. And he looks at you, and he looks at the hole. A Korean would know how to make this decision. And he just steps out through the hole.
You're saying this thing is like right on me, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a coming.
It's a coming. We're talking, you got probably, you got a decision. A decision.
Yeah, the decision being, well, I imagine here, follow me on this, that I'm not going to be able to get both of these people out of the way, am I?
All right. Ken looks, and he realizes that there's a hole in the side of the train, and there's three of them. He sees in his head how long it took him just to drag them this far. He knows he couldn't pick them up and jump with them out of the train.
But in terms of one of them, more doable, maybe. Maybe is good enough.
The problem being that you have to pick it up and put it on your shoulder, and I said one decision.
One decision? Yeah, so picking up and putting on my shoulder
is the decision, or
jumping out myself. One ends with all three of us dying, because I'll have her on my shoulders, and that's excellent. But train. The other leaves one survivor to try to reverse the cycle if they can.
And then there's something else that comes into your head. Naomi.
Ken throws Naomi out.
Okay. She's not to where you can grab her. But she's that way. And she's obviously going to die. And there's nothing you can do about that.
Okay. So in this entire thing, there's maybe one of us that can survive this.
Ken knows that he's looked at Maggie, he's looked at Jade. They might survive. Maybe. 10% chance. If he threw them out.
And the person I have at the moment is Jade?
Yeah, both of them, technically.
Oh damn!
Because this is the decision point. The decision point is Ken sees this all coming. He's standing there. He's got both bodies. However, he was dragging them. We'll say by the collar.
Okay.
He has looked up for him. He has seen the opening to his left. He has all these things, all these possibilities have gone through his head, but he knows he's got one decision.
Then he has to choose someone who has a chance of survival. Whether it's Jade, whether it's Maggie, whether it's both.
Or whether it's him.
Those two have a 10% chance. He has a higher chance. He jumps out.
Okay. Ken jumps, and he leaps through the opening. He feels the heat and the force of this train smashing behind him, and rolls. And his senses kind of go wonky. He sees, he sees the world as when you tumble, you kind of see the world flying around. That's what he sees, and then he blinks, and he's sitting in the front seat of the ambulance with Katy Perry playing with his partner at a red light.
Ken blinks. John? He's literally talking to his partner.
Mm-hmm. And he kind of looks over at you. Yeah?
Did I nod off there for a minute?
You've been, yeah. I mean, I thought you were tired. I just kind of let you sleep for a few minutes. I mean, we've been running doubles for a while. Yeah, I mean, I guess you've been snoring for a good 10 minutes.
All right, dude.
You okay?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm good.
You kind of look down at yourself, and you see that your clothes are still singed. And you look down at one of your hands, the one that was, and you can still smell gasoline on you a little bit. And you look down at the one hand that was dragging Jade's, and you can still see blood under your fingernails.
Ken swallows.
And from the back of the ambulance, you hear, "Still not Korean."
Ken does not look back at him. Like he knows the voice. Sometimes the voice pops up without the person, so it's going to look real weird. If he looks back and dude's, I mean, even if he is manifesting there, Ken's been through something like this before, but he's not sure what he's going to tip off when. He's just listening.
And you hear, "You cannot save everyone, Superman. There is only one person that you can definitely save." And then that voice goes quiet.
Ken runs his non-gasoline-y hand through his hair.
No gas.
We probably just fucked up a little at the pump, man.
Starts looking around. You hear the radio squawk with ambulance 49, code 3 at blah, 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 nursing home. Subject in cardiac arrest. According to PD on scene, possibly already code 48. Respond code 1. And you see your partner reach over, roll his eyes, and turns on the radio and the siren. It's going to be one of those days. And the two of you take off at the red light. And with that, our scene. Thank you, anybody who watches, and good night.